Alright, what is going on, guys? During UFC 306 this past weekend, they announced the main card of UFC 309, Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. And we're going to be going over what they announced. So starting at the bottom here, we've got Chris Weidman versus Eric Anders. It says it is going to be the featured prelim. Pretty much I'm going to go on quick early prediction and what I think of each fight. Two dead bodies going at it. Chris Weidman in his last fight celebrated after committing terrible fouls, got the win. I believe it was via technical decision. Did not look good really in his last two fights. Probably just coming back for paychecks, which, honestly, I can't blame him. He's probably making pretty good money. Eric Anders, again, borderline dead body. Probably not super looking forward to this fight at all. And that's the featured prelim. Moving on to the opener of the pay-per-view. This is the pay-per-view. UFC 309. Anthony Smith versus Dominic Reyes. Dead body versus dead body. Both of these fighters are essentially washed up. Now, I know Dominic Reyes in his last fight. I was there live at that fight when he won versus Dustin Jacoby. Decent win, okay? I thought Justin Jacoby was going to win that fight. Considering Reyes just gets chinned in pretty much every fight he's in recently. Oh, by the way, early prediction, Chris Weidman, Eric Anders. I'm going Chris Weidman decision. I think he'll be able to... I think he's the better fighter. Anyway, going back to Anthony Smith versus Dominic Reyes. I want to pick, honestly, after seeing his last fight, I want to pick Dominic Reyes. Anthony Smith's not known for his power. He claims to be this world elite grappler, but, you can't really see it, especially in his last few fights. Early prediction, I'm going Dominic Reyes via decision. Anthony Smith's been shown that he's somewhat hard to finish. I mean, Ankalaev finished him. Roundtree finished him. I guess he isn't hard to finish. But, I was going to say he doesn't quit, but I think he quits in pretty much every one of his fights. Or so it seems, at least. So, yeah, I'm going Dominic Reyes via decision. Hopefully he doesn't get chinned by Anthony Smith. Moving on, Natalia Silva versus Viviana Araujo. This is actually a decent fight. I'm going to go Natalia Silva via decision. I think she has better striking, better grappling, and I can see her winning all 3 rounds. I didn't realize this was a rematch. Nobody asked for this rematch. Moving on, we have Bo Nickel versus Paul Craig. Now, I personally would have rather seen Paul Craig fight Joe Mershart. Joe Mershart called him out after his last win against Edmund Shabazian. I think it would have been a fun fight. They're both grapplers. They're both older. I mean, essentially what the UFC is trying to do, and even in the video Dana White did announcing these fights, he highlighted, Paul Craig, he has wins over Magomed Ankalaev and the former champion Jamal Hill. Like trying to hype up Paul Craig so that when Bo Nickel absolutely destroys him, it looks like a good win. It is not a good win. Now, may it be better than all his wins he has currently? Yes. Technically, it would be, but Paul Craig's washed up. Paul Craig is not a good fighter anymore. He needs to hang it up. They're just feeding Bo Nickel someone with name value. I know you can't see me. I'm doing air quotes. Name value. I'm going Bo Nickel first round KO. He's going to knock him out in the first round. Paul Craig doesn't really have a chin on him. He's been knocked out several times. Now, don't be surprised. I'm going to say this right now. Don't be surprised if Bo Nickel drops Paul Craig, follows him down to finish him, and gets triangled. That could come out of nowhere. Paul Craig has amazing triangles, and can get them literally out of nowhere. That's how he beat Magomed Ankalaev and Jamal Hill. Boom, triangle, snaps it in. I think also Nikita Krylov triangle to him as well. So for my official early prediction, I'm going Bo Nickel, first round knockout versus Paul Craig. Moving on to my most anticipated fight on the card, Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler 2. 5-round co-main event. I love it. I love when they have important fights, whether it be co-main events. I don't think I've ever seen it on a featured fight, but I'm not opposed to them doing that. Important fights in divisions being 5 rounds. Like, I would have loved Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan being a 5-round fight. That would have been good to see. Could Oliveira maybe break him down a little bit further into the fight or not? This is going to be a good fight. Their first fight was super exciting. Back and forth action. Constant action. Swings back and forth. Michael Chandler almost finishes Oliveira. Then Oliveira comes back out and finishes Chandler. Although, for my early prediction, I will be going Charles Oliveira. Although I'm not 100% sure how I think he will win this fight, Michael Chandler's been sitting out. I think it's going to be like 2 years. He's going to be sit out for 2 years, if I remember correctly. Because he's waiting for a big payday with Conor McGregor that he's clearly never going to get. And I wish he would have taken this fight like a year ago. Or any fight, for that matter. And Chandler recently said in, I believe it was at UFC 306, he did an interview somewhere, I can't remember where I saw it at, that if he beats Charles Oliveira, he gets a title shot. Or maybe, I can't remember how he worded it exactly. He's either going to get a title shot, or if they offer him a title shot, or the McGregor fight, he will take the title shot versus Islam Makhachev. Now, as much as I don't like Michael Chandler sitting out for 2 years, if he gets past Charles Oliveira, I think Michael Chandler versus Islam Makhachev would be a fun fight. Now, Arman Tsarukyan does have to fight him. He is the true number 1 contender right now. He deserves to fight for the belt. Assuming Islam beats Tsarukyan, I think it would be a fun matchup. Now, I don't favor Chandler to win that fight. But, Chandler does have the wrestling background, and he has heavy hands. So maybe Islam will have a tougher time taking him down and controlling him. Chandler always is doing these wild scrambles. And like in the Poirier fight, that's what lost him the fight. Doing these big, wild takedowns, suplexes, wild scrambles. Definitely would be an exciting fight between those two. But he's got to get through Charles Oliveira first. And for Charles Oliveira, this is a must-win. He needs to win this fight. For my official prediction, I'm doing Charles Oliveira. I'm gonna go second round KO again. I think this is not gonna go all 5 rounds. If it does, I do favor Charles Oliveira. I think it's gonna play out similar to the first fight. It's gonna be back and forth. Both guys are gonna get hurt. But unless Michael Chandler really dials in, see, his problem is he's crazy and he's wild, and yes, that works sometimes. But there's so many times, like the Dustin Poirier fight, if he would have just been calm, collective, dialed in, not crazy, he could have won that fight. So yeah, moving on. Main event. The main event nobody wants. Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. Stipe sitting out for damn near 4 years getting a title shot. Yay. When we have an interim champion. Now, Jon Jones recently said at UFC 306 that this is more than likely his last fight. Although, if Stipe Miocic wins, I 100% could see them doing an immediate rematch. As stupid and as much as I would hate that, I could 100%. Because Jon Jones isn't going to want to retire if he loses to Stipe. He's going to want that fight back. And they'll both make a boatload of money. So they will probably do it. Including the UFC would make a boatload of money. I can't pick Stipe Miocic. I know, he's considered the greatest heavyweight of all time. Jon Jones the greatest light heavyweight of all time. Beat Cyril Gane in like 2 minutes, minute 30, something like that. But I cannot pick Stipe Miocic when he's been sitting out for almost 4 years. Now, I know, he's been resting, hasn't been taking any damage, but Jon Jones really hasn't fought that much either. He took virtually no damage in that Ciryl Gane fight. And I know he's coming off the surgery for his, I believe it's a torn pec, but there's just no way I can pick Stipe Miocic after sitting out for that long. And he's old. I think he's like 42, 43. And I know for heavyweights, they can fight older, but I just can't pick him. Official prediction. Now, does Jon Jones finish Stipe Miocic? That is a question. I could see him, with a head kick, rocking him good, and then finishing him with ground and pound. I don't think he will submit Stipe Miocic, but I could also see this fight going all 5 rounds. For my official prediction, I'm going to be going Jon Jones via 3rd or 4th round TKO. I think he's going to wear on him the first 2 rounds. Then going into either the 3rd or the 4th round, I think he's going to find a head kick. He's going to hurt him. He's going to drop him. And he's going to finish him with ground and pound. Not looking forward to this fight at all, to be honest with you. Yes, it'll be exciting to watch Jon Jones fight. But I would have way more rather see Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. That's a way more intriguing fight. It feels more dangerous. But, again, don't be surprised, Jon Jones, Stipe's a heavyweight. He's not the biggest heavyweight, but anything could happen at heavyweight. So that is it for my early projections for this UFC 309. Not very good card. Really, the highlight in the card for me is Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler 2. All the other fights are pretty mid. Outside of the John, obviously it's Jon Jones is in the fight, so that's going to be exciting to watch. But they're pretty much feeding Bo Nickel the dead body of Paul Craig, and then Anthony Smith and Dominic Reyes, 2 dead bodies going at it. Not super looking forward to. I'm looking forward to getting this over with so that we can get Tom Aspinall doing something. And I'm hoping, no matter who wins this fight, as soon as they're done, they just get vacated of the heavyweight title, Tom Aspinall elevated to the undisputed champion, and we can move on with whoever they're going to give him next. All right, that's all I got in this video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below of UFC 309, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.